Hello and welcome to Lecture 5 in our series of acupoints for massage therapists. Today we continue our incredible journey of discovery through the channels and collaterals of Chinese medicine, of acupuncture, with the spleen channel of foot Taiyin. Now let's take a brief reminder of Taiyin, the cutaneous region. Yes, foot Taiyin covers the large toe, right? The anterior medial aspect of the leg, thigh, right? Parts of the abdomen and the lateral hip, and is connected to and part of hand Taiyin. Right, great yin. Yes, which covers the lateral and anterior lateral portion of the upper extremity and chest. The spleen channel of foot Taiyin begins at the medial tip of the big toe, runs along the medial aspect of the foot, following the line where the skin changes color. Okay, so you'll notice that there's a difference in color between the dorsal part of the foot and the plantar surface of the foot, the bottom of the foot. And this channel starts the medial aspect of the big toe and runs along the foot, right on that line where the skin changes color. There we go. Okay. And then it ascends the anterior medial aspect of the leg. Right, we can see it crosses in front of the medial malleolus. Right. At some point it actually crosses the liver channel and runs anterior to the liver channel, and ascends along the medial aspect of the knee, the anterior medial aspect of the thigh, and then we see a deep branch, right? This is all superficial. We can access the channel via the points on the superficial branch. Now we have a deep connection that connects to the conception vessel at Ren 3 and Ren 4, right? The Ren is also the conception vessel. And we see it running right here. Yes, we pick up spleen channel again, and then another deep branch that runs into the, ascends and runs into the spleen, connects with the stomach. Yes, and then ascends to the root of the tongue. Spreads out on the root of the tongue. Okay. And we see another branch that leaves the channel and just runs up and connects with the heart. Right? And we know, or will learn, that the next channel where the qi flows into in the nutritive cycle is the heart channel of Han Xiao Yin. So we see a direct connection. Yep. The channel then rises 4 sun lateral to the anterior midline, which would make it, if you're paying attention here in the abdominal region, right, 2 sun lateral to the stomach channel, right, 4 sun lateral to the anterior midline, and then over the ribs it moves 6 sun lateral. Right, connects with and passes through lung 1, and then descends on the side of the body to terminate, to end at spleen 21, Da Bao. Right, this is the point that is access to the great Luo of the spleen, which we'll talk about when we discuss spleen 21. But this point is on the mid-axillary line traditionally described as the mid-axillary line in the midpoint between the axilla and the free end of the 11th rib. In the Manual of Acupuncture, Peter Dedman describes this location as being in the 7th intercostal space. Okay, the spleen, the zong, right, rules the transformation and transportation of nutrient qi. It produces blood, or it plays a large role in producing blood, holds blood in the vessels and organs in their place, right? So if we see cases of prolapse or ptosis, P-T-O-S-I-S, which means an organ is out of place, oftentimes we see the kidneys are tossed, P-T-O-S-S-E-D, meaning that they, I actually had seen a patient not long ago who had a toast kidney, and it was actually lying on the pelvic floor. It was functioning, but it was definitely not in the place it could be. And when I learned about that, coupled with other signs and symptoms, I did have to certainly consider that there was spleen qi deficiency, right, not holding those organs in place. The sense organ is the mouth. The spleen opens to the mouth. The spleen rules the flesh, the muscles, and the limbs, and houses the spirit, or our intellect. Right? The spleen is associated as an internal-external pair, right, with the stomach channel, with the stomach. It's also a phase pair, both the zong and the fu here being associated with the element earth. The stomach receives the food and begins the rotting and ripening process, and beginning even of water metabolism. But then the spleen takes over and starts to direct how the nutrient tree is distributed, going to the lung and so forth, and the creation of the qi that we need that flows through our channels. That is our defensive qi, that is our nutritive qi, and blood and fluids in the body. Spleen, according to Asian medicine, plays a huge, huge role in the vitality of the human body. And disruption of the process of the spleen, disharmony and disease of the spleen, can often lead to the formation of dampness. So as we've learned, dampness is a external pathogen that can invade the body, but also can be generated internally. And one of the primary ways in which dampness is generated internally is through weakness and disease or disharmony of the spleen zong. Our low connecting channel originates at spleen 4, Gongsun, connects with the stomach channel, stomach 42, and then enters the abdomen and connects with the intestines and the stomach. Right, so the connection between Taiyin, yes, and hand and foot yang ming. Okay, the great Luo of the spleen separates from the primary channel at spleen 21, as we discussed earlier, and spreads to the chest and lateral rib region. Gathering, the main purpose of this channel is to gather the blood of all of the Luo connecting channels of the body. And that is one of the functions of Luo channels in general, is having this effect on bringing blood and qi, particularly blood, to all the areas of the body, because they are part of the network that includes the minute, small connecting vessels that brings blood and nutrients to all the parts of the body. So what the great Luo does is gather the qi and blood from all of the connecting vessels and helps to bring it into the costal region, into the chest. Our spleen sinew channel, right? And remember, when we're doing massage, we are pretty much working on the sinew or muscle channel, right? As with all sinew channels, it begins on the extremity, right? So it begins at the medial side of the big toe, spleen 1, ascends the foot to bind to the medial malleolus, ascends the medial aspect of the leg, binds at the medial side of the knee, right? Follows the anterior medial side of the thigh and binds in the genital region, then connects with the genitals, ascends the midline, the anterior midline, and binds at the umbilicus. There, it enters the abdomen, binds with the ribs, spreads at the chest, and from inside the chest, a branch connects to the spine. So we see connection here, right, with the ankle, the knee, the groin, the genital area, the umbilicus, the ribs, and the spine. Right? And when we put this channel on the body in class during our lab portion, obviously we will preclude trying to map the inner portion, but we certainly will remember that it's there. Yes, and that from the chest, there's a branch that adheres to the spine. Signs and symptoms of the spleen sinew channel: strained big toe, pain of the medial malleolus, pain and cramping along the course of the channel, which is certainly a common symptom or sign to all of the sinew channels, the muscle channels. Pain of the medial aspect of the knee, pain of the medial thigh that reaches the inguinal region, twisting pain of the genitals. People have come to me complaining of this, and it is a wonderful thing when you can give relief. Okay, so twisting pain of the genitals that may reach the navel and the lateral costal region, right? Or lead to pain of the chest and the anterior spine. Interestingly enough, we can see now that you would say, wow, there's pain in the genitals and pain in the spine. Like it feels like a deep pain of the spine. How could that be? Well, here we see that there is a direct connection via the spleen sinew or spleen muscle channel, and that if we can effectively open the channel up, well, depending on why the cramping and pain is, but if we say it's due to stagnation, just as a for instance, if we can open that channel up, get things moving by massaging the proper points and proper area of the leg and abdomen, and the person gets relief, imagine how shocked and surprised they'll be, and certainly pleased. And it's always nice, from our perspective, to be able to provide a helping hand, literally, and not only help people get out of pain, but help them understand how their bodies work better from a different perspective.